So over the past few months, one of the biggest controversies the LEGO community has ever seen exploded across YouTube. What started as a disagreement over a private collection turned into investigations, response videos, and legal disputes. And honestly, I've been asking myself the same exact question everybody else on the internet is asking themselves. How did it get this bad? And if you've only seen bits and pieces of the story, or you've been completely lost because every creator covers a different part, don't worry. Today we're gonna go through everything from the beginning, what happened, where things stand now, and why people are still talking about it. Let's get into it. But wait, if you haven't subscribed yet, please do. It'll be much appreciated. It's free and it supports me. Thank you. Now let's continue with the video. So the entire situation revolves around a LEGO resale franchise called Bricks and Minifigs. Now if you've never heard of them before, they're basically a franchise where people can buy, sell, and trade LEGO sets, loose bricks, and minifigures. And they're not owned by LEGO itself. They're a separate business with franchise locations across the country. The location at the center of all this was in Salem, Oregon. The story begins with an elderly collector named Ed Mansell. Ed has spent years building what many people considered an incredible LEGO collection. We're talking hundreds of rare Star Wars sets, thousands of pieces, and countless minifigures accumulated over decades. His family has estimated the collection to be worth around $200,000, although that valuation has been disputed by Bricks and Minifigs. Eventually, the family decided to place the collection on consignment with the Salem store. Now, for anyone who doesn't know what consignment means, it's actually pretty simple. Instead of selling your collections directly to a store, you let the store sell items on your behalf. As items sell, the store pays you according to whatever the agreement was made. That's where everything starts getting messy. According to the Mansell family, the collection was supposed to be sold over time with payments coming back to them. Then ownership of the Salem store changed. The family says the new owners refused to honor the previous agreement. They also claim they were denied access to the remaining collection and weren't properly compensated for everything that has been sold.
All the footage and evidence is there in the security cam footage. It's him at the store kicking her out. In that footage they sent us is Crystal asking him, how am I supposed to pay this guy? These are sets he has not been paid for.
The new owners have disputed that version of events. So right now you have two completely different sides telling two very different stories. At that point, it wasn't some viral internet scandal. It was a dispute that wasn't getting resolved. So Now fast forwarding a little bit, YouTube gets involved, more specifically Reckless Ben. If you watched this channel before, you already know he has a reputation of diving deep into controversial stories. He has started interviewing the family, gathering documents, filming conversations, and putting together investigative videos trying to explain exactly what happened. Those videos absolutely exploded. Millions of people who probably hadn't thought about Legos in years suddenly found themselves watching hours of content about contracts, missing inventory, and franchise disputes. And honestly, the reason the videos blew up wasn't because they were about Legos. It was because people love a mystery. People wanted answers. Was the collection actually missing? Who legally owned that? Who was telling the truth and who was responsible? Every new video seemed to raise even more questions. And once the story started gaining traction, other creators jumped in. Some focused on the legal side, others focused on the ethics. Some criticized how everything appeared to be handled publicly. But before long, what started as a niche Lego story became one of the biggest internet investigations of the year. Eventually, Bricks and Minifigs Corporate had to respond, and this is where things got even more interesting. Corporate made it clear that the Salem location was independently franchised. They claimed this wasn't representative of the company as a whole. They also stated that certain consignment practices being discussed weren't part of corporate policy. At the same time, they disputed parts of the family's claims, including the estimated value of the collection. Their position was essentially that this involved a franchise location, not the entire company, and that they were reviewing the situation. That response didn't exactly calm people down. In fact, it kind of did the opposite. A lot of viewers felt the statement didn't answer the biggest question people were asking. Others argued corporate couldn't simply step in and control everything a franchise owner does. So instead of ending the conversation, it fueled another round of debate. Then CoffeeZilla got involved. Now, if you've ever watched CoffeeZilla before, you know exactly how these interviews usually go. He's not there to yell at people. He's there to ask direct questions and keep digging until he either gets an answer or finds another question. He interviewed Bricks and Minifigs CEO Eamon McNeff, asking about corporate oversight, documentations, inventory records, and what actions the company had taken after learning about the dispute. Depending on who you ask, people walk away from the interview with very different opinions. Some viewers felt it exposed weakness in how the situation had been handled. Others felt it showed the limit of what corporate leadership could legally do in a franchise dispute. Regardless of where people landed, the interview brought the story to an even larger audience. Meanwhile, the legal side of the situation continued. There were lawsuits and other legal claims connected connected to the dispute. Separate from the original disagreement over the Lego collection, Reckless Ben also ended up facing misdemeanor harassment and stalking charges related to his investigation activities. Those issues are legally separate from the ownership dispute itself, but they add another layer to an already complicated story. By this point, it felt like every week brought another update. Then came one of the biggest developments so far.
Bricks and Minifigs is permanently closing its Oregon store owned by a Utah man that was caught up in a viral lawsuit. And there was a years-long legal dispute at play here, but the online buzz kicked off after the YouTuber Reckless Ben tried to serve lawsuit papers to a Bricks and Minifigs franchise owner from American Fork. Well, today the company says they're shutting down his Oregon store because of a devastating social media campaign, their words. The company says they're still investigating the situation, but so far they say they found evidence of negligence in how the owner before the current owners, Brandon Best and Joshua Johnson, ran the store. They say documents were lost during the transition to new leadership, including an unauthorized consignment deal for the $200,000 Lego collection at issue here. Bricks and Minifigs is asking to sit down with the collection's original owner, Brian Mansell, to make amends. Reckless Ben, whose real name is Ben Schneider, tells us that public support has meant a lot to Mansell.
Bricks and Minifigs announced that it was ending its relationship with the Salem franchise owners. The location ultimately closed, and the company also announced changes aimed at improving franchise procedures going forward. For many people online, that felt like a major turning point. Others pointed out that there's still a legal Others pointed out that there are still legal questions that haven't been fully resolved, and as of today there are still several unanswered questions. Will every remaining item from the collection be accounted for? How will the ongoing legal disputes ultimately end? Will additional information come out through the courts? And what does it mean for trust between collectors and resale businesses moving forward? Those are questions we simply don't have the definitive answers to yet. I think one reason this story spreads so far outside the Lego community is because it isn't really about Legos anymore. It's about trust. If you're trusting someone with something you've spent decades collecting, you expect clear communication, accurate records, and transparency. Whether it's trading cards, comics, classic cars, Pokemon, sneakers, or Lego, collectors invest years into building something that's meaningful to them. That's why this situation resonated with so many people. But as of right now, the story isn't over. There's still legal proceedings underway, there's still questions being argued publicly, and there's still a lot we don't know. So it is important not to treat every rumor or social media post as fact. As more verified information becomes available, we'll have a much clearer picture of everything that happened. Until then, all we could really do is follow the facts as they're confirmed and see where this story goes next. But I'd love to know what you guys think. Do you think Bricks and Minifigs Corporate handled this the best way they could? Do you think more responsibility should fall on the franchise owners? Or do you think we'll eventually learn there's even more to the story than what the public already knows? Let me know down in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, drop a like. If you want to support the channel, subscribe if you're new, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.